you should get advice. But if you're going to get advice, be careful who you get it from. Get the very best advice and pay for it. The ability to see the problem or listen to someone who sees the problem.
Sure.
And your desire to not let the problem be the focus. In other words, cup half empty, cup half full. If your team feel that they can communicate with you, then they're going to give you, contrary views, or they're going to give you opinions. This is the Mastermind for Business podcast. In this episode, we're going to talk about the importance of keeping an open mind. If you really want to scale your business, get more freedom so that you are not working in it as much as you currently are, you've got to have an open mind. Let's get that underway right now.
If you want more time, money, freedom, and have a business that's not reliant on you, then you're in the right place. Each week, Mark Creedon, along with some of the very best business minds in the world, will take you through simple, practical steps you can take to create the business you always wanted. From his own practical experience, Mark will show you how to work less, make more, and get the business you always wanted, the one that you deserve. Now here's your host, one of Australia's most sought-after business coaches, Mark Creedon.
Hi, I'm Mark Creedon. Welcome to the latest edition of the Mastermind for Business podcast. As always, joining me in the chair is Nick. Good morning, mate.
Good morning.
Hey, Nick, I was thinking the other day, and it was something that you mentioned to me, was about the concept of maintaining an open mind and how important it is, A, to be able to scale your business,
Sure.
B, to be able to get freedom from your business, and then C, how easy it is to let that mind close a bit or end up with what I like to think of as limiting beliefs.
Yeah, definitely. I think it happens without you even realizing a lot of the times.
Yeah, so you and I mean, but part of it comes down to, I think, whether you're a cup half full, cup half empty kind of person, but it's beyond that. But you and I both worked with a guy a few years back, and I remember every idea that went to him, his stock standard answer was, well, the problem with that is.
Yeah.
Right? And that was always the answer, the problem with that is. So he was the guy who saw the problems. Now,
In everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So those guys are pretty handy, by the way.
Oh, of course, because sometimes you can't see the problems that they see.
Correct. I guess what you've got to do is work out, how do you find this balance between having that ability to either see the problem or listen to someone who's got the problem. Start that again. The ability to see the problem or listen to someone who sees the problem.
Sure.
And your desire to not let the problem be the focus. In other words, cup half empty, cup half full.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's hard, right? It's hard. As a creative, it's something that, I deal with all the time, having to deal with people who see problems you might not see in something. So, I may have a vision for something.
Yep.
I have a vision for a video, a vision for a piece of content. But the vision of the client or the vision of someone else that's collaborating may not necessarily be the same. So you have to deal with, I guess, differing ideas. And if you don't have an open-minded approach, well, your way is the highway type thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't work in the creative field, especially because it's just not how it works. Your way isn't the best way. You're not the answer to it all. You don't have all the answers. People know and like different things to what you do. So I think it's extremely hard sometimes. To be honest, it really irks me. It's something that does really irk me when people just find a problem in everything. Yeah. No matter how, I can walk away from something and think, oh, mate, that's great. I've just done something that is worth $1 million.
Yep.
And someone will pick something out of it. Oh, God.
So you mentioned that. In an episode 2 or 3 weeks ago, you mentioned how you would show Dee a video.
Yes.
And she would see something, right?
Yeah.
And she'd see a problem in it, and you go,
does my head in. Yeah. Buggers me to no point, but it's extremely important.
Right, so you appreciated it there.
100%. After I've cooled down, definitely. Yeah, I appreciate it.
What are you talking about? It's a shit video.
You take it personally. My first go-to is to somewhat take it a little bit personally, especially because it's something as a creative that I've put a lot of time and energy into. I've created it. Right? I've created it from scratch, sort of thing. So for someone to sort of feels like they're spitting on it, right?
Yeah.
Spitting at what you've done. But that's not the case.
No.
They're actually just trying to constructively help you.
And give you support.
Yeah.
The book, The Four Agreements, I should say. There was a book called The Fifth Agreement. But the Four Agreements, one of the things it says, don't take anything personally.
Yeah.
I get that.
It's good to say, but that's impossible, right?
Well, the other thing too is I remember having a conversation actually with Michael Yardney, who I know listens, having fun walking Lincoln while you're listening to this.
Yeah, that's it.
But Michael once said to me, Mark, I don't know why you take this so personally. And my answer was, you know what, mate? The fact that I take it personally just means that I actually care.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
100%.
One of the sayings Caroline has always, if it doesn't hurt, then it doesn't matter. Or if it doesn't matter, it won't hurt. But if it hurts, it's because it matters.
You give a crap, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So if you take it personally, then it means it's actually important to you.
Means something to you. Mm.
But I think as I look at, business operations and either how you either scale your business in terms of growth or scale yourself out of your business, you've got to have an open mind. And, one of the most dangerous sayings in a business is we've always done it this way.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But the problem for most of us running a business, a lot of the people listening to this podcast have been running, their business their way, for a relatively long period of time. Even that might even just be 5 years. But I see it all the time. Change is difficult when you're used to running things a certain way, which is your way.
Yeah, I think it's also really Australian. I think it's really Australian to if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah.
And to be stuck in that sort of mindset of being closed off to change purely because it's working right now.
Yeah. So someone's actually got to point out to you the fact that you actually have to be
You have
open.
to adapt.
Yeah.
Right? You have to be open to adaptation. You have to, because otherwise it will go past and then all of a sudden things have changed.
Right. So
it no longer does work.
There's that old saying of, if you're the smartest person on your team, you're on the wrong team.
Yeah.
So it's about getting advice. And I've always believed that you should get advice. But if you're going to get advice, be careful who you get it from. Get the very best advice and pay for it.
Yeah.
Right?
I think what we were talking about before as well, where my partner, she gives me some critique or feedback on something. And I think if someone's giving you critique or feedback or giving you some advice and it's very, oh, yeah, no, it looks good. Oh, it's a good job. No, you're doing all right.
Yeah.
They actually don't care.
No, that's right.
It actually means nothing to them.
So,
You want someone to be a little bit critiqueful. You want someone to be a little bit critical.
Yeah.
Because that means that they actually do care. It means that they.
What's what we say as a coach, mate, is let me be, and I say this all the time. Let me be your unreasonable friend, and let me point out a blind spot that you've got. One of the things that is really important when it comes to having an open mind, especially these days, right? There's so much information out there.
Oh yeah.
That the white noise is just deafening as to what's available out there.
Yeah.
And you can't possibly get your head around it all.
No.
With artificial intelligence, I'm sure that's well on its way. But you can't get your head around it all. So you can't actually be the smartest person on your team, or you can't be your own judge. I was having a conversation with a client the other day, and they said to me, no, this is as good as it gets. This is the best that we can do. And I challenged them. I said, but who's judging that? Oh, well, I am.
Yeah.
But you're the only judge of it.
Yes.
So for them, it was getting them to open their mind to receiving advice from somebody else. Because in fact, the way that they had always been doing it wasn't in fact the best way to do it.
No, it's dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
Because advancements in thinking and technology and what have you, it can get past you.
Oh, and very quickly, before you know it.
Yeah.
Before you know it.
Yeah.
And I think, that happens really easily when you are a little bit blinded to the world around you.
Yeah.
You're so tunnel focused of what you're doing. And that's why I think, going back to a little bit of being open-minded in a business and being able to adapt is so important. And the key to it really is to having the right people.
Yeah.
Having the people, if you have a bunch of yes men around you, then all you have is yourself.
Well, all you're
have
doing
a million
is,
yous.
you're just feeding I think that's a mistake people make in recruitment often is they employ themselves.
Yeah.
But all you're doing is feeding your ego. Let's be honest. It feels good to have everybody go,
That serves no purpose.
yes, Nick, you're 100% correct, Nick. Yes, Nick, you're amazing, Nick.
That's right. Yeah.
Do you know?
Serves no purpose to you, to your business. It's actually not going to get you anywhere. You're going to be at a standstill or go backwards.
I had a guy working for me years ago, Nick, who used to spend the first 10 minutes of every conversation telling me how good I was.
Yeah.
You know, and I had to sort of say, listen, mate, you know, my pants are damp because you keep pissing in my pocket. I mean, you know, that's not what I want.
No.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I like to hear it.
Yeah, sure. But it's nice.
So I just said it's not what I want. But maybe the answer is more it's not what I need.
Correct.
Right? And there's a difference between what it is that I want and what I need.
Because maybe you wanted it, maybe you liked it.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
Would I like someone to tell me that this video is great or it's the best thing they've ever seen? Of course I would. I'd feel fantastic about
100%.
it. Do I like when someone tells me that they don't like it or that this doesn't look great? No, of course I don't. But that's what I need versus that's what I want, 100%.
Interesting thing in I think in life and certainly in business, a lot of the clients that when we first start working with them, we're often telling them things that they really need to hear, not necessarily things that they want to hear. And that's where that
truths.
Yeah, and that's where that unreasonable friend concept comes in, where I'll go, look, you know, you're going to hear some things from me that you may not really like that much, but to know that they're coming from the perspective of wanting to help you to be the best that you can be.
Yeah, and I think, you know, also you've got to look at it. You don't know everything. You're not across every single field.
No.
We talk a lot about, you know, it's not your wheelhouse. It's not, if that's not your strength, then there's other people that do have those strengths. And also there's so many diverse opinions and creativity. Everyone has a little bit of something in them, I mean, that you might not have.
Yeah.
So having diverse opinions and a range of different people that are giving you feedback, I think is really key. And then obviously actually listening to it is the main key.
Well, there's another step now, acting on it.
Yeah, well, that too. Not just listening to it.
Not just listening to it.
Jotting it down.
Yeah.
Is
Otherwise,
actually doing something about it.
otherwise it's just lip service, right?
Yeah, taking it on board. You know, I think, and I really don't like that. Oh yeah, I'll take that on board.
Yeah.
Not sure if I like that.
Leave that with me.
Yeah.
You know that's just a palm off, right?
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for your opinion.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, look, I think having the right people around is key. But you can have all the right people in the world telling you this and that, but if you're not open, if you're not willing to listen and to understand that someone else's opinion, although it may not be the same as yours, is still valid.
Yeah.
Is key, because at the end of the day, if what you're doing is working, that's great.
Yep.
But it doesn't mean that someone else isn't doing something a different way that you could do that might be a little bit better.
That could work better.
Yeah, that's right.
And better might mean, you know, might mean more performance in your business, might mean more money in your bank account, or more importantly, it might mean more time and freedom for you.
That's right, yeah.
I've got a friend, and I was having this very conversation with him, and I said to him not long ago, I said, you know, I think the problem is you listen to too many of the wrong people. But the problem is the wrong people in that case were the people that were telling him what he wanted to hear. They were making him feel good. Mm-hmm. And the people who were telling him what he didn't want to hear were not making him feel good, so you don't want to listen to them. So
just getting rid of them.
Yeah, so I won't listen to that stuff. It's a really hard thing to move past that, and we haven't discussed this, but I mean, how do you move past that, do you think? How do you go from going, do you know what, I don't want to just listen to that because it's stuff I like, it feeds me, and I actually want to go out and listen to something that's contrary?
I think you've just got to take a step back.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we get so caught up in our own heads.
Yep.
Sometimes you just have to take a little bit of a step back and look around.
Yeah.
What is everyone else doing? How is everyone else feeling? What is everyone else saying?
Yeah. And how's it working?
Yeah.
Like if all I'm doing is listening to people that are telling me what I want to hear, I need to stop and just, you know, look at my life or my business and go, well, hang on a second.
Reassess.
How's this working?
Yeah. And I think it's a really hard thing sometimes for certain people to do. Maybe they just don't necessarily have the ability to look within themselves to be able to find that. If you can, I think one of the best ways to do that is to humble yourself.
Yeah. Humility goes a long way.
Yeah, I think you have to humble yourself a little bit and realize that there are people that are doing better than you. There's always someone that's doing better than you.
That's right.
Always.
Yep.
You know, and there's always room for growth. There's always room for more.
Yep.
And maybe you're happy where you are. That's completely fine if you're happy where you are. But what you've got to understand is that's not going to stay that way forever.
You know, last week we spoke about the concept of empowerment. We spoke about how if you want to get, balance back in your life and, that you need to empower your team. I think empowerment sits well here too, because if you empower the people around you to give you honest answers, and we often see this with people when they come into the mastermind program, they're not getting honest answers, right?
Yep.
They're not getting, they're falling into they're getting what they want to hear. So if you're getting information from people that tell you what you want to hear, right, and that's making you feel good, I think if you can empower people around you, where I was going is that we often see it with clients when they come into mastermind, they're only listening to the people who tell them what they want to hear.
Yep.
And you've actually got to say to them, well, hang on a second, how is it working for you? Are you getting what you want out of your business? Are you getting the freedom you want? Is the business still heavily reliant on you? And in most cases where they're listening to those that are just telling them the good stuff, the business is still super reliant on them.
Yeah, I think you hear all the time, he's like a younger version of myself.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people hire and bring people within their business based on those sort of emotional connections.
Yeah, they do. I mean, it's like when you interview someone, and I've had this conversation with lots of business owners, and they go, I interviewed this person, I really, really liked him. Reminded me of a younger version of myself. Probably wrong reason to hire them because
100%.
They're just going to think like you do. They're not going to give you, a contrary point of view. But what we see in Mastermind, Nick, is that most of those people who are just listening to the acolytes, if you like, those that are giving them, the yes men, as you put it before, the business is still reliant on them because none of those people are empowered enough to step forward and go, you know what, Nick, you need to stop doing that and give that to me. You need to focus, as Michael would say, you need to focus on the highest and best use of your time.
Yeah.
They won't come out and say that. I heard this great saying once, and I've used it ever since, which is only a true friend will stab you in the front.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I like that.
Right, so enemies will stab you in the back. We know that.
Yeah.
But a true friend will stab you in the front. They'll tell you the truth.
Yes.
And I think you can empower that true friend concept with your team by giving them the ability, the confidence, the courage, the capacity, the skills, the autonomy to be able to come to you and go, you know what? I reckon there's a better way.
And isn't that what you want? If there was truly something that someone could bring to the table, that would help you reach a goal or help you grow your business, wouldn't you want that? I mean, isn't that something that you would be open to? I think anyone would be open to growth within the business. Anyone would be open to more money. I think it's really almost silly of us and irresponsible of us to be closed off to those sort of ideas.
But time and time again,
it happens.
We see that happening, and I really think there's a couple of elements to it. I think it is about empowerment. I think that you are going to feel more comfortable to get a contrary opinion or to get criticism or if you have confidence in the person who's giving it.
Yeah, definitely.
And you've got to have confidence in their skill set, in their own confidence, their abilities, their objectivity. There's a whole range of things. So if you've got people working around you and you can work on empowering them to have all of those benefits, all of those skill sets, if you like.
Sure.
Right? Characteristics is the word I was looking for. If you can empower to have all of those characteristics of confidence, autonomy, the ability to say what they think, open-mindedness themselves, if you can empower them to do that, then you're likely to get the answers that you actually need in order for you to scale yourself out of the business.
And I think the key to achieve that is to actually create an environment where your team can feel comfortable enough to bring you those things.
Yeah.
Which is easier said than done.
Yeah, that's right. That's empowerment, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. They need to be able to feel like your relationship is strong enough that they're not going to lose their job if they bring something to you that would A, either benefit the company or B, may upset you.
I remember many, many, many years ago when I was, 18, 17, whatever.
That is many years ago.
Yeah, it's a long time ago now, mate. But I was working with this business, and the senior partner had given me a job to do, and I went to talk to him about it, and I said, "Oh, look, I thought." He went, "Stop there. That's your first mistake. I went, oh, like, basically, what the fuck is he on about? But it was, he goes, I don't pay you to think. I pay you to do.
Yeah.
I'll do the thinking, you do the doing. That's how this is going to work. Now, you know me well enough to know that didn't last too long, that job. But I see that, right? I see that people go, no. I don't need them to think. I just need them to do. But you know what? You actually do need them to think, because you can't think you can't think around every corner.
No, that's right. You know, being open-minded is such a broad statement, but that people are going to be able to solve problems you can't.
Yep.
People are going to be able to answer questions that you can't. If you think you have all the answers and that you can solve all the problems, well, good luck to you.
So this is probably, I don't know, this is probably not correct at all now to say, but it's what I always used to call a Chinese democracy, right? We know probably isn't really a democracy there, but Chinese democracy, right? Everyone gets a say, but not everybody gets a vote.
Yes.
So it's about helping people to appreciate the fact that they can have a say. It doesn't mean that they're going to vote you out or overrule you or, you know, lock you away in the janitor's closet or whatever it might be. But it's about empowering the people around you so that, as you say, they feel comfortable and confident to be able to come to you, knock on your door or ring you up or email you, whatever, however communication works. And I want to chat about that in a second. And just say, hey, Nick, I got this idea, which I know is different from yours, but here's why I think it's a better one.
And that's why, you know, bonding with your team and having a strong relationship with your team is so important. Having a connection and knowing rapport with your team is so important. You know, how can you expect to have that sort of response or have people care enough to bring you something like that, right?
Yeah.
Because they actually have to care.
Yeah, they do.
If someone's bringing you something like we spoke about before, if someone's bringing up something that's wrong or not right, they actually want to see the business.
They want to see change.
They want to see the change. They want to see a positive outcome.
But how cool is that?
Right? That's all you want. That's all you could ever hope for.
The ultimate, if you can get people that around you who are prepared to lose as much sleep as you are.
Yeah, well, they've bought in that much to that point that they're on board to the point of you almost.
Yep. That's buy-in, hey?
Massive.
Yep.
It's a huge advantage for any business owner. And I think one of the keys to that is you know, everyone is different. One of the biggest, I guess, things that you know, we have to deal with as business owners and having employees is that all of our employees are going to be different. No one is going to be the same.
Yep.
So building a relationship with them, you know, I'm going to get along with you probably more than I'm going to get along with whoever.
Yep.
So, but it's key that I have a relationship with both of you and that I know both of you and that I understand how both of you work.
Yeah.
So going back to being open-minded, it's all about being open to everything that's in front of you, whether it be the type of person, their opinions, change, problem solving, whatever, creativity, differing opinions, having different people, and knowing how to be open to that is so vital. You're never going to, you know, achieve or go any further than where you are now if you're not.
No, and I think so much of that comes down to communication, right? I mean, if your team feel that they can communicate with you, then they're going to give you, you know, contrary views or they're going to give you opinions. But how you empower them, how you get to that point is by being really open to communicate with them.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because most of the issues that I see in most of the business we work with come down to communication. It's amazing the role it plays.
Or lack thereof.
Yeah, or lack thereof. Well, it's really interesting. One thing I wanted to share with you around communication was that in the Metropole group last week, for the first time, I introduced No Email Friday.
Right. Yep.
And so for that Friday, you couldn't send an internal email.
That would have been interesting.
Right. So you could, I mean, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people just parked emails and sent them all Monday morning, but you couldn't, and I know some people sent text messages instead. Cheaters.
Getting around it.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. But the concept is that you could send external emails, but internal emails, you had to do one of two things, because obviously we've got offices in Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne. You had to get off your ass and go and actually talk to the person.
If you're in the same office.
Right, or pick the phone up and speak to them if they're in another city.
Yeah.
Right, because the phone doesn't actually weigh 3 ton.
No,
and
believe it or not.
Believe it or not, and you can pick it up. But it was fascinating to get the feedback from it because the feedback was actually really positive because people went, you know, it was quite nice not to be inundated with emails. I saw an email trail 2 days ago in the Metropole group. In order to resolve one question, it took 36 emails. 36 emails back and forth.
I want to say I'm surprised, but I'm not.
No, but that's right. But see, we get so used to just flicking out an email.
It's just it's convenient. I think also in today's culture, we're very, very hesitant to any sort of actual, face-to-face or verbal communication with anyone.
Yep.
We find it much easier to just text or send a Facebook message or to send an email.
Yep.
But there's lack of connection there. There's lack of emotional connection.
Well, there is, and so if you're listening to this podcast now and you're going, yeah, do you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe I am being the smartest person on my team. Maybe I need to get some advice from other people. In order to do that, you've got to open lines of communication because people have got to see that you're prepared for it.
Yeah, definitely. I think sending emails and texts and stuff like that too is one of the things that can happen is things can be taken out of context so easily.
Well, there's no context and there's no tonality in emails.
No, that's right.
So if you get to actually speak to someone, you can understand where they're coming from.
Yeah, and you can get more out of them too. I think you get.
You can ask questions and you get two-way conversation going.
You can get excited about a lot more. You can get excited about a phone conversation, a 30-minute phone conversation than you can about an email trail that lasts over 2 weeks. Right?
And then you can hear their excitement.
Yes.
Yeah. By the way, this 36 email trail took place over less than 24 hours. So there were 36 emails back and forth over one question that could have been resolved with a couple of phone calls.
Yeah.
A couple of 2-minute phone calls. And you just go, this is just insane. Hey,
it's actually more work, isn't it?
It is.
Like, that's the thing. It's like, it would be so much easier if you just picked up the phone.
Yeah, it is.
Like, sometimes that's like that for me. I hate, you go onto something and you're trying to ask a question. They got the little chat bot that comes up.
Yep.
Oh, man, I just want to talk to a real person.
Yeah, can I talk to a human?
It would be over with in 5 minutes if I could just talk to you.
Yeah.
So, 100%.
Being of a certain age, I find that with texting.
Yeah.
Because you and I text back and forth, and sometimes I go, I'm just going to pick the goddamn phone up. I'm just going to ring him. Because I can ask 4 things in the space of 3 minutes, and that's how long it'll take me to, 2-finger type a text on my phone. So
I don't know anyone that does any more than 2 fingers on their phone, to be honest.
Well, I use a finger and I use a thumb and a pointer finger.
No, that's right. I have seen you do that. Sorry, we'll leave that.
I don't use 2 thumbs.
Yeah, we don't want to tell the whole world that.
No, we just did. So, Nick, we've spoken about keeping an open mind, and how do you keep an open mind? Well, let's talk about why you keep an open mind. So you keep an open mind because if you're the smartest person on your team, you're on the wrong team.
That's right.
You keep an open mind because there are changes out there.
Always.
Things and particularly now, there'll be more technological changes in the next 12 months than there was in the last 7 years.
Yeah, definitely.
So you keep an open mind so that you can have input from other people about all those various changes. I was speaking with Reese from Stoop Studios the other day, and we were talking about, marketing, and I was talking about Facebook, and he just went, oh, Facebook?
That old relic. That's what it's like. 100%.
I still get on Facebook now, but you probably don't.
Oh, look, I do, but I certainly and not for anything to do with my business.
No, so you'd be on Insta.
Not for anything to do with work. No, definitely not. And that's one change that's happened. I mean, there's going to be things are forever changing, and I think if you're not open to change or open to adapting to change, then either you're going to be left behind or you're going to be standing still as everyone's moving around.
Right, but if you're standing still, you're moving backwards.
Well, pretty much.
Right, because if you think about it, as you're standing still, everyone's moving forward.
Yeah.
Essentially, if you were to have that as a 3D image, or a visual, if everybody's moving forward, you would in fact be moving backwards.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're being left behind, right?
You're being left behind.
Yeah.
And the other thing, as we said, much earlier in this episode, the thing that I see with people who aren't open, don't have an open mind, they get caught by their own limiting beliefs. They believe the world operates in a certain way, or that things are done in a certain way, or the business operates in a certain way, when in fact it doesn't anymore, or maybe it never did, or whatever the case may be.
Maybe it did for a long time, but it just doesn't.
Maybe. But it's that limiting beliefs, and we all have them, by the way.
Of course.
We
yeah.
all
Yeah,
have them.
definitely.
So I'm not being critical of it. We all have limiting beliefs. Good, I've still got plenty of them, and I'm sure you have them.
Yes.
But I think the thing that I see is if you're not prepared to have this open mind, if you're not prepared to let other people in, if you're not prepared to embark on a process to empower other people around you to be brutally honest with you and tell you what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear, you are going to stay stuck in being the person who's, where the business is just reliant on you.
And it might be successful, it might be working for you right now.
That's right.
But being open-minded and creating that environment where your team is collaborating and you're open to that collaboration,
Yep.
that is crucial for long-term success.
That's where you get the
Not just
scalability.
short-term.
No,
Yeah,
that's
that's
right. Yeah, that's right. Otherwise, what do? You get to the point, and by the way, I've seen this in professions, right? Particularly in professions, in lawyers and accountants, where they're not open to it. They're not open to change. They get to the end of their career. They want to retire. Their business is worth nothing.
Yep.
Because anybody coming in looking at it going, man, this is just so antiquated. There's an antiquated way of doing things. There's an antiquated way of thinking. There's no fresh blood in this. There's no fresh mind. I'm not going to pay a lot of money for that because I'm going to have to undo all of that.
It's like starting from scratch.
Correct.
It's a sad truth. But yeah, if you aren't moving, you're being left behind.
Yep.
I think that's the key.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you want long-term success, you have to be open to the fact that you aren't always going to know what works. You might know what works right now.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, it happens fast.
Yeah,
right?
really quick.
It happens so quick. I'm 30,
Yep.
right? And the last 10 years for me, the changes in regards to, social media and the new generation of I guess, what's important to them and how they work and all the things that are cool to them and what was cool to me, it's all completely changed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all completely gone out the window and it's almost started fresh.
Yeah.
So if you're not adapting and learning those new things, or if you're not having people around you that are able to I guess have those insights
Yep.
that you don't have,
Yep.
then you are being left behind, and then you are focusing on short-term success, not long-term.
And the big thing I think, Nick, is to have people around you. So you've got to be open. You've got to be open to listening. You've got to maintain an open mind. Want to get yourself out of the position where the business rests on your shoulders? Try having an open mind.
Definitely.
Empower the people around you. Mate, thank you again.
Thank you.
Always good to have a chat. These are the sort of things we help our clients in our mastermind program. So metropolmastermind.com.au. Love to have a chat to you. Until we chat again next week, Nick, as always, guys, this is Mark Creedon. Please make sure you spend time with those who matter most. We'll talk to you next week.